diversity and inclusion in leadership roles within the travel tourism sector. We're here today to celebrate Resilience Day, and I tell you, this woman has guts. She's a fighter, no matter what, if she stands alone or with an army behind. She has the entire industry's respect. Gloria, come on up, the stage is yours.
Thank you for that introduction. Good morning. Great to be back in beautiful Jamaica. My friend Bartlett, you gather so many people and so many friends because the impact you have made is tremendous. Thank you for having me and for the invitation. It's great to see so many friends from this part of the world and from so many geographies. Good morning, everyone, distinguished guests, leaders, ambassadors, and friends, of course, policymakers. Today, we're celebrating the Global Tourism Resilience Day and the impact that resilience has in our sector. I felt old, I have to say, Professor Wallace, because you say that you have 20-something years in the sector. I have 35. So when you were talking, it made me feel a little bit old. And as I mentioned, I have experience in the private sector. I was Minister of Tourism of my country, Mexico, WTTC, and of course recently in Saudi Arabia. And during these 35 years, I have seen the impact of crisis in our sector. From any single one today, we're facing some in some parts of the world. And as we analyze those crises, the challenge is, how do we become more resilient? How do we learn from the past? How do we make sure that the people that leave from our sector are protected? Because at the end of the day, it's about the people and the communities. Yes, and the technologies are very important and we should use them, but we need to make sure that the center is the people. Jamaica, 30% of the GDP, is that right? Very impressive. 5 million visitors with 5% contribution, of course 5 billion by 2025, that's what they call the 555, if I'm correct. Very impressive. But when you look at the people here, you have changed lives. And the initiative of this Global Tourism Resilience Center is so important. And I want to take just 1 minute to think about that and celebrate that. First of all, let me acknowledge Bartlett. You're a visionary. What you have done with Dr. Wallace and this center has not only impacted Jamaica, has impacted the globe. And for that, I would like to everyone to give you an applause. We worked together during the pandemic. And before the pandemic, in WTTC, we launched a report when we look at 90 different crises throughout 20 years. And it's fascinating when you put it in context and you see some were outbreaks, weather-related, economical instability, security, all of them had an impact in our sector. But before you guys, we were talking about crisis, just little conversation about resilience. And you're the one that brought that topic and elevated. And as we celebrated this Global Tourism Resilience Day, we recognize the importance of robust systems, innovation solutions, and international cooperation. That's what we saw when I was in WTTC during COVID. That cooperation is crucial. We need to continue learning from the past, the mistakes and the successes. And we can only do that by documenting the cases, by sharing the experience, and that's why this center is so important and so relevant. The power of sharing these experiences, I think, is unprecedented because the disruptions will never stop. And we need to navigate those together, adapt and respond. And very important, what are we doing today to prepare for the next crisis? Back in 2015, I had the opportunity to participate in Medellin it was back then World Tourism Organization, now UN Tourism General Assembly. And I was with a friend from Harvard that we were working back then in sustainable tourism. And And I remember like yesterday, I told the audience, all these ministers, a pandemic is coming. We need to be prepared. This was 2015 that we were talking. We need to have the protocols. And my friend from Harvard, Dr. Sanchez back then, went over the different protocols, and I talk about the communication. And yes, 5 years later or 15 years later, we saw one after another one and after the other one after we saw COVID, and we were not ready. But it's very important to learn and use technologies so that we don't make the same mistakes. As we forge ahead, this digital technology that Professor Wallace mentioned are helping us as the forefront for resilience. These tools are very important, not only by convenience, but essential components for our crisis management and for the preparation, so that we can have the frameworks needed to move forward. He talked about AI, and we have been talking about AI. The way that I see AI is like when we were talking about internet, and again, he made me feel a little bit old, because I remember when internet came in our travel industry, everyone was so worried that internet was going to replace all the jobs. And it was the opposite. Created more jobs, facilitated how we book travel. Now AI is exactly doing that. It's helping us to predict travel patterns, identify potential disruptions, so that we can deploy resources efficiently. For instance, recently in the volcano ash disruptions, AI helped for the flights, reroutes in real time, so that we can minimize disruptions and maintain safety. So AI is a tool that we need to embrace, we need to use, and for resilience is very important. Similar with blockchain technology, that is helping us to ensure integrity of transactions and data across tourism value chain. And their data is very important. We're very concerned of our data, but data is another tool that will help us for the seamless travel verification process. And that's from hotel booking all the way to a frictionless experience, like biometrics, for instance. That when I was in WTTC, we were championing exactly that. How you can have a good journey without so many interruptions? How do we make sure that we have my face as my passport, you know who I am, so that you don't ask me 5 or 10 times for my ID, and you know that I'm a safe traveler. The idea of this seamless travel journey is very important. And of course, it was mentioned already, the Internet of Things. How do we transform the tourism experience by connecting to different touch points of the journey? Smart hotels that enable to provide this information and these services in the wearables, what they call your tools. Today, I can do my check-in, have my key in my phone, and also use that for health advisory and many more things. So the center that we're celebrating here is a very good pioneer, and we should acknowledge that, and that's what I recognize this work. I remember when my friend, Mr. Bartlett, was telling me, Gloria, this is very important, and I couldn't agree more. But that collaboration is fundamental, and at the same time, this center has been doing a lot of advocacy and thought leadership so that it can help us to promote this digital resilience, while at the same time help us to improve our industry and to manage the crisis overall for what is coming. The initiatives that were mentioned before are very relevant in terms of sharing. The international workshops that you guys have hosted here in Jamaica have brought a lot of collaboration, research, and have paved the way for industry standards. You should be very, very proud. During COVID, we learned the lesson. Before the pandemic, in November 2019, we launched a report that, as I say, had all these different crises. And we announced something that it was very important, which was the safe travel standards. And in that case, I have to say the collaboration was tremendous. The role that Jamaica played, the Caribbean, and a lot of the leaders here today was very important, because we led the way to implement the safety protocols so that the reopening was going to be successful. And as a consequence, now we have seen how travel is back. We have numbers better than we had before pandemic because we were able to work together. I think the Global Center that we have here Your efforts and dedication have been very important to make this connection and to make the sector more resilient. And I'm very proud to be part of that and seeing that. Now, something also is very important, as you know, I'm here in my official capacity as a UN Secretary General candidate from Mexico. As I'm sure you know, there's never been a woman. Yes, I'm a champion for women, as Aradna say. 50% of the sector are women. I'm always supporting women. But it's not only about women, and it's not about me. It's about you all and the sector, and how we can take initiatives like the Resilience Center here to the next level. And that's why one of my commitments is resilience. I believe we need to take this together to the next level and maximize the legacy that Mr. Bartlett, or Honorable Mr. Bartlett, my friend, and Dr. Wallace and the team here, the wonderful job that you have done. We need to work together and take this to the next level and share this with more people from around the world so that the communities can benefit. So let's celebrate the Global Tourism Resilience Day, that as a beacon of our success, and at the same time work together, combining experiences, these innovations, and together we can create a new era for our beloved tourism sector. Thank you for the invitation, my friend. Thank you for the wonderful organization. Thank you and congratulations, Jamaica, for the amazing success. And the Caribbean, I have to say, not only Jamaica and everyone that is here. And thank you for being part of this new era of tourism. Thank you.